Welcome to Tractor Roy. My name is Trent. I'm working on a 1950 Ford 8N tractor. We got a leaking rear axle seal. So as you can see, I've pulled off the fender, 3-point linkage to get everything kind of out of the way and ready for us. We had two options. We could either tear apart the axle from the outside going in, or in our case, we're just going to take off the whole tube as one unit. Then replace that seal and then slap it all back together. Okay, so totally forgot to turn my microphone on for that. So sorry. This gasket that I pulled off is just, it looks like it's silicone from a tube. You know, the stuff that you squeeze on there to form a gasket. So my guess is they didn't put enough on down here, or there was oil so it didn't really seal up very well. And that's why it was leaking from the bottom of this thing. Yeah. Otherwise, everything else in here looks pretty good. I'll bring you guys down so you can see. To get this thing off, we just had to take off the fender, wheel. These ones have wheel weights, so it was kind of a pain by myself. But I had help getting this axle tube off. And then I took off the 3-point linkage for this side, just to give us a little bit more room for things. There's two ways that we could have done this. I could have taken off every piece of this axle tube. Could have taken off brake drum, then brakes, then outer axle seal, hub, couple of bearings, inner axle seal, axle stub shaft. I said that probably in the wrong order, but a lot of stuff. And those bearings already have a set preload. There's a bunch of shims in there. The clearances are all set. I didn't want to have to mess with that. So I was looking on some forums. I was looking through all these parts diagrams, trying to look everything over the best I could, and determined that I could just pull these off and slip the whole housing out as one unit. Nothing's wrong with anything on this axle tube. It was just leaking right here at the bottom. So we'll just replace this gasket, slip it back on. Here's a look inside of the rear housing of this tractor. This is our differential in here. Out of the transmission, the output shaft has a pinion on it, and then the pinion runs this ring gear all the way around, and then our axle will slide into there. All the way back there. Also, forgot to mention, that's our PTO shaft right there. We have a little cover on it at the moment, but this is the PTO shaft. So this is our whole housing. It looks pretty clean otherwise. Luckily this floor is epoxied, so it's easy to clean up. This is loose, so I'm going to see if I can tighten this thing up at all. I don't know if it was leaking out of here or if it was just so much fluid coming out of here it got all over everything else. I was digging through our assembly manual, parts manual. Peaceful Creek makes these ones fantastic. They came as a set. There's like 6 different manuals. We got the parts catalog like this. We got the INT shop manual, the flat rate manual, the owner's manual, specification manual. There's something else. These things are super handy, and it was pretty reasonably priced from peacefulcreek.com for all these. So here's the diagram for all this. If you had taken it off the right way, this is how you would have done it. Brake drum, outer seal, it might be the hub, then the outer seal. There's another gasket in there. There's the brake pads or brake shoes on top of it. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. There's an inner seal somewhere I missed. Might be that. And then you have to check the preload on all these bearings and races. You have to adjust the shims. But we just took this out as one piece, so we'll just stick it back on and it'll be good to go. We just had to replace this gasket right here. So our gasket set came from Steiner's. It was actually really cheap. I think this whole kit was the same cost as if I bought just these 2 axle seals. There's a couple other things. Here's PTO. This one's for right up here. I might replace like these. I don't know. I'll probably replace the PTO seal back here since I'm already into it. The hydraulic oil's already drained, so may as well dig into it. But then it also has your case on the bottom, or the cover on the bottom, hydraulic pump up top, differential kit. That's what this thing's called. So it does seem kind of odd to me that thing had silicone. It looks like silicone. It is way thinner than what this is. I don't think that we're going to have an issue with how far our stub shaft is going into our differential. They're just splined like you saw it, so if it's off a little bit, I don't think it'll be enough of a difference. And this thing isn't getting used like it was designed for back in the day. It's kind of like a parade tractor, I guess you'd call it, but they probably won't drive it in a parade. If for some reason you strip out these things, I can get to the back side of them, so you could do whatever you need to. You know, adding a backing nut in there, which might be a pain, but it's possible, so you don't have to just scrap your housing and come up with a new one. Especially because a lot of these tractors, other than sentimental ones, they're just so dang cheap. Like, it's hard to justify putting a lot of money into some of these ones that you can pick up for a couple $100 non-running. Sometimes it's hard decision to make. So I'm using this Permatex Gasket sealant lacquer, or sealant liquid. I like using it to help seal up the little imperfections and stuff. I've had pretty good luck with it. I have used them on carburetors before too, and they don't have a problem with sticking together. Sometimes, like Permatex, it glues itself together because it seals it up so well that it's such a pain to get back apart. So if you're using that, sometimes, depending on what you're doing, it's not a bad idea to only do one side with this sealer. That way you can get it back off. If it's something that you're going to have to take off, put back on several times. But this, I don't ever plan on doing again. And this sealer usually doesn't have a problem separating when it's all said and done. If you find this video entertaining, educational, or even if it doesn't blow your dress up, please throw this video a like. It helps the channel out more than you realize. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to it. Keep up on fun projects like this that I didn't plan on doing. If you would like other videos on working on your Ford 9N, 2N, or 8N, they pretty much all work together, tractor, please check out the channel. Got a bunch of other videos on this thing doing tune-up on the engine, all sorts of stuff. And since we have this axle stub shaft pulled off and we have all of our hydraulic fluid drained out, now's a pretty good time to change out this PTO seal. I don't know if it needs it. It kind of does look a little leaky, but perfect time to do it. We're already digging into things. Okay, we'll just have to take off these 4 bolts. This thing will come off. There's a spring that's back here. It might come out with it, but our gasket that we're going to want to change is right behind this. Oh, we got some gross stuff. Okay. Oops, we just took off the whole thing. Oh, I hope I can get that back in. Oh, good. Okay. Whew. I was worried there for a second. I think that's just a spline shaft on the other end, but sometimes there's stuff that can fall down that's not supposed to, you know, there's a different order you're supposed to take this out in. Also wasn't planning on taking this out, but I guess we can inspect it. You can see what's going on. This is where it hooks into your transmission. Yeah, when you engage the PTO, it'll engage whatever is driving this. So we can just slide our gasket down. And match up with our kit. Here's the new one. Perfect. We'll throw some gasket sealer on there. Stick it back on. And it does look like it's been leaking. So I'm kind of glad that I got one of these. That whole kit was just super convenient. It has everything with it that I didn't know that I'd need.
You hear me?
I did. My help decided to show up. Basically, I had to rebuild the transmission while I was waiting for him. So I have no idea how you could do this otherwise. I can reach in here and lift up this axle shaft so I can get it to slip in, or this PTO shaft. It'd be such a pain if you didn't have this open hole here. Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. That's done, we can get back to the axle shaft now, or the axle tube. So, gasket's on, shellacked, what else did I do? Oh, PTO. I think that's it. We're going to take this tube, just slide it on there. We got our nuts kind of handy. It shouldn't take too much to get this to stick on. If that stub shaft doesn't want to fit into the differential carrier, then we'll just have to turn our drum. Because, you know, since it's connected, we'll just have to turn it until we can get it to slip in. But, ready? Yep. There we go. Okay, rotate towards you.
Yeah, down like right there.
Oh, you know what we need? A cherry picker. That would have been handy.
Yeah, that would.
I mean, it wasn't, but that would have been handy. You could just like pick it up, have a little spreader bar on there. Wait, that was way easier than tearing all this off, though.
Yeah.
This outer nut right here on the end, torqued to 450 foot-pounds. I don't know if I have a torque wrench that goes up that high. Oh, did you hear that the company that's making yardsticks, they're not making them any longer?
Why?
Well, because then they wouldn't be a yard.
Yeah.
So, now, throw that 3-point linkage back on, the fender on, get the wheel on, get this thing back on its feet, and roll it outside. So I can clean this up. So, on our, I don't even know what this is called, lift arm? For the 3-point? Like, it's not the 3-point lift arm, but it's a lift arm for lifting the lift arm. Anyways, on here there's 2 bolts. There's keeper tabs right here. So you just got to fold these down and it keeps these nuts from backing off so that way your whole lift arm doesn't fall off. So you can do it with a hammer and chisel, which I don't have, or you can do it with pair channel hooks like this. And just squeeze it. And then that tab folds over on the flat.
You see if anything wrong with that?
I don't. I don't see anything wrong with that. So I guess it's not quite like the axle housing, and you can put this on either way you want.
Mm-hmm.
Whoops. Oh well, at least it's only 2 bolts.
Okay, not better.
That's better. Might be crowding the seat up there. Oh yeah, we got new t-shirts.
Huh?
So showing the camera, I got new t-shirts. If people are interested, I'll start selling them. There. That's what I want. So there's a thick side, thin side on these. I don't know which one's which other than you just kind of play with it. I think it goes like that. Thick side's down, has a little bit smaller diameter because this is thicker than this, so you want that smaller diameter back here on the bottom. Okay, hydraulic oil, and then we can move this thing. So here's where we fill up the hydraulic fluid. This is a shared case. The transmission and the final drive rear differential all take the same fluid, same reservoir across there. The INT manual says 20 quarts, which ends up being 5 gallons. This is the stuff I'm using on here. So this stuff Ford required like 134. Ford required 134. Yeah. So we got 134B, 134C. Ford. So, also, I don't really know how much it matters in something this old, but we do meet the Ford requirements on this hydraulic fluid. Don't want to get any on the floor, except we won't really be able to tell if it leaks until it sits there for a day or two, seeps through that seal. Well, but that's a paper gasket, so that hydraulic fluid sitting on there should swell it up to seal it the rest of the way. I mean, that gasket sealer works really well too. So, I think this thing's all finished up. We got a full hydraulic fluid. This seal looks like it's working. We'll just have to let it sit for a little bit, see if it eventually seeps through. If you enjoyed this video, found it educational or entertaining, or even if you didn't care about it, please throw it a like. It helps out a lot. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can keep up on everything else that I'm doing out here. And thanks for watching Tractor Roy.